The year is 1995. The infamous OJ Simpson trial started in January. The San Francisco 49ers blew out the San Diego Chargers in the Super Bowl. The classic comedy movie Friday was released in April. Just 2 months after this, Bone Thugs and Harmony released their sophomore album, E 1999 Eternal. Before getting into the album though, I recently made a gaming channel that you guys should go follow. I just posted a video where I got the platinum for the classic game Bully. And if you haven't already done it yet, go follow my Instagram too. That would be greatly appreciated. Rap-wise, in 1995, some of the albums that came out that year were The Infamous by Mobb Deep, Only Built for Cuban Links by Raekwon, Me Against the World by Tupac, Liquid Swords by GZA, and Gangsta's Paradise by Coolio. The release of E 1999 Eternal solidified Bone Thugs and Harmony's status in the game, being a massive success and catapulting them into being considered as one of the greatest rap groups of all time. Today our story starts in 1994 with the release of the group's first EP, Creepin' on a Come Up. This was released in June of 1994. The EP peaked at number 12 on the Billboard 200 charts. Creepin' on a Come Up was led by the group's debut single, Thuggish, Ruggish, Bone.
You feeling the strength for the rum, step bump, hit a funk, get a jump, that the dust is feel, just be thuggin'.
One would think that things would be all sunshine and rainbows for the group since Creepin' on a Come Up ended up being a massive success. I mean, the EP did go double platinum by the end of 1994 and quadruple platinum by the end of 1995. This couldn't be anything further from the truth though. Bizzy Bone describes the recording for E 1999 Eternal to be a crazy time within the group. Flesh and Bone was getting into legal trouble, had medical issues, and was in and out of psych wards. The group also did not have a lot of money despite their success. Eazy E, the group's mentor and co-founder of their record label, Ruthless Records, put them in a mansion in Chatsworth, California. Eazy soon went away to take care of some business that members of the group were unaware of at the time. Bizzy Bone describes what happened next. When all the stuff was going on, Eazy wasn't returning our phone calls and we were stuck in the mansion and we owed the dude money. And our records was platinum and all of this stuff was going on and we didn't know what was going on. We didn't know the whole thing about him getting NWA back together. While that was going on, we were sitting at that mansion with no food and that MF'er. E 1999 was done but did not come out yet. We were stealing food and stuff cause we live in Chatsworth, California. So we're going up to the store stealing food cause we didn't have nothing. The money stopped, everything stopped, and we ain't hear nothing from him. So while he was doing his thing, getting back with NWA like how the movie shown. Unfortunately, the group found out, like the rest of the world, that Eazy E was diagnosed with AIDS and sadly passed away in March of 1995. Eazy's death devastated the group because this was their mentor and the man who signed them to Ruthless Records. He envisioned them as being the next best thing, which turned out to be true. What made everything worse was the suddenness of the whole situation, completely unexpected. There happens to be a ton of conspiracy theories surrounding the death of Eazy E, with members of Bone Thugs believing that he did not really die from AIDS. That's an entirely different video and conversation though. Now with Eazy E being deceased, things took a turn at Ruthless Records due to his widow, Tamika Woods Wright, now running things. Members of the group constantly feuded with her because they were used to how things were when Eazy was alive. But the problems between Tamika and Bone Thugs really hit a boiling point after E 1999 Eternal. Since Eazy E passed before the release of the album, E 1999 Eternal was dedicated to him. Eazy also has an executive producer credit for the album. There was no single released prior to E 1999 Eternal. In July of 1995, Bone Thugs released their sophomore album, E 1999 Eternal, with the album topping the Billboard 200. It sold 307,000 copies in its first week. By the end of 1995, the album was double platinum. By mid-1996, E 1999 Eternal was quadruple platinum. Before the release of E 1999 Eternal and Creepin' on a Come Up, Bone released a project called Faces of Death in May of 1993. This was before they signed with Ruthless Records and went under the name of Bone Enterprise. This is why E 1999 Eternal is considered their second album. One thing that really fascinates me about E 1999 Eternal, aside from the music, is its cover art and packaging. Starting with the cover art, there happens to be homages to Eazy E. On the center building, there's an Eric Wright RIP 11523 rest in peace sign, which is Eazy E's government name. 11523 stands for 11,523 days, which is approximately 31 and a half years, which is the time that Eazy E spent on this earth before his passing. Aside from that, in the building to the left, if you look closely, you can see Eazy E looking down on Bone Thugs and Harmony. Don Cunningham is credited for the art direction of the cover art, and Julio Costanzo is credited for the layout. In an interview, he said that Bone Thugs did not have much to do with their artwork. Crazy Bone confirmed this during his Drink Champs interview, saying that he was not aware of the dark messages in their artwork until years later. This is where I really want to reference the Beyond the Frame YouTube channel. I don't know this person from a can of paint, but they have extensive knowledge of the culture, history, and fandom surrounding Bone Thugs and Harmony and their affiliates. I highly suggest that you go check out their video, Decoding the Mr. Ouija Map Curse. Really fascinating stuff. Breaking down the code leads to the phone number 213-360-6741. At a point in time, if you called the number, you were greeted with a special message from Eazy E himself.
Playing the game. Y'all niggas starve. Living real large, playing the game. Y'all niggas starve. Got it going on. Wish we were there. Wish we were there. Breaking all the rules. When niggas try to play fair. Ain't nothing fair in this game of life. You gotta get yours before you lose your life. The game is designed for them to win. You think I'm lying? Visit the pen. They already got a number reserved for your ass. Don't be a fool and join their class. They want you to enroll in their institution so they can pimp you with their new form of prostitution. Wake up, my niggas, and hear me clear. Don't be a slave to this game called fear. You got a mind, you gotta use it. Because if you don't, they will abuse it. Don't be a victim to their game. Learn the rules, my niggas, and do the same. There's a lot more money on that other side. And my niggas, you don't have to run and you don't have to hide.
people solving the mystery and then calling the number just to hear Eazy E's voice, who died before the release of the album, was probably bone chilling. That's not all, because one page in the leaflet for the album contains a message written backward. I'll put what it says on the screen so you can hear it. You can pause the video if you would like. I'll give you guys a few seconds to do that. With that being said though, let's dive into the history behind each song. The album starts with the introduction, a very creepy opening starting with the hook of Thuggish Ruggish Bone being reversed, leading to an eerie sound. St. Clair and East 1999 is the area that members of Bone Thugs and Harmony grew up in while they lived in Cleveland, Ohio. It's displayed on the cover art of the album. Just last year, in 2023, the intersection of St. Clair Avenue and East 1999th Street was renamed Bone Thugs and Harmony Way. Not that long after this, the sign was stolen. Absolute craziness. After the start of the intro for the introduction, Bizzy Bone's verse from Thuggish Ruggish Bone is reversed as well before it fades into DJ Unique, the producer for Bone Thugs and Harmony. He introduces the group. Bizzy, Crazy, and Lazy each have verses that complete the introduction. This then fades into East 1999. This was the second single released from the album. It peaked at number 39 on the Billboard Hot 100. Lazy Bone opens up the track with the wicked verse. In an interview, he referred to this verse as being one of his most meaningful verses because it represents the meaning of where he started from. In this same interview, he said that he came up with the verse while in a trap house on East 99 and St. Clair. Aside from being a single, this track is notable because it contains one of the few verses from Flesh and Bone on the album. Flesh explained the reasoning behind this in a 2021 interview with Holding Court podcast. He said that he was originally on a lot of classic Bone Thug songs, but was taken off. He named Crossroads and First of the Month as examples. He said that people on Ruthless Records wanted him to be taken off of songs because they were afraid of him due to his drug use and erratic behavior. Flesh believes that if Eazy E was still alive, he would have been on the cover of E 1999 Eternal because Eazy E made sure that Flesh was on the cover for Creepin' on a Come Up. In this same interview, he also talked about how during the group's early days, he was in and out of jail, along with being in and out of hospitals due to his addictions. I've also seen people comment that Flesh was not signed to Ruthless Records like the rest of the members. This is actually true because he signed a solo deal with Def Jam Records and released his debut solo album, Thugs, in November of 1996. The next song on the album is Eternal, which is a fitting title because the track samples music from the 1993 Sega game Eternal Champions. This isn't the only time that Eternal Champions was sampled on the album. The Bad Ending music was sampled on the original Crossroads song, which I'll talk about in a second. Eternal then fades into the next track, Crept and We Came. This is in reference to the group's first EP, Creepin' on a Come Up, as well as the title track on that album. They refer to it in the past tense because they are now here with the release of their debut album. Bizzy Bone does the hook on the song and repurposes lyrics from the title track of Creepin' on a Come Up. Speaking of Bizzy Bone though, he's a major part of the story behind the next track on the album, Down 71, The Getaway. The song tells the fictional story of Bizzy Bone being sentenced to the electric chair for his crimes. The title of the track is in reference to Interstate 71 or I-71. It's a 344-mile highway that runs north-south from Louisville, Kentucky to Cleveland, Ohio. This highway is significant to the story because the members of Bone Thugs use I-71 as their getaway from the law after they bust Busy out of prison. Apparently, this song was originally recorded during the Creepin' on a Come Up sessions but did not make the cut. This led to it being re-recorded and reworked for E1999 Eternal. In my opinion, the original version is harder and more sinister. Mr. Bill Collector comes after this, and originally this song was going to be different. This is another song that was reportedly made before the E1999 Eternal sessions, with Eazy E initially being featured on the song. Unfortunately, his verse ended up being deleted. The reason behind this is that, as I said earlier, Eazy and Bone Thugs had a problem before his passing. Because of this growing resentment towards him, the group erased Eazy's vocals from Mr. Bill Collector. This turned out to be a huge misunderstanding because Eazy E did not mean to leave Bone Thugs out there to dry intentionally. Eazy E died in March of 1995 due to AIDS, meaning that Mr. Bill Collector was done sometime in 1994 or early 1995. For years, people thought that Eazy's verse was completely gone, but snippets of his verse emerged online in the past few years. A full low-quality version of Eazy's verse leaked this year. When doing my research, I came across a Bone Thugs and Harmony message board where an administrator named Brain Ghost reported that Eazy E's former bodyguard, Bad Luck, had an exchange on Facebook where DJ Unique asked him if he had the original Sleepwalkers and Mr. Bill Collector songs with Eazy E's verse on DAT or cassette. Bad Luck responded by saying that Eazy E had told him years ago to hold on to the DAT because he did not trust one of the engineers at the time. So apparently he has it, but we have yet to hear Eazy's verse in high quality, and it's unclear if we ever will. In a separate interview, DJ Unique told the story of him running late to the studio, which left Bone Thugs in the studio with a new engineer who followed the group's request to take him off of the song. If DJ Unique was never late, we possibly would have heard the song in high quality by now. Budsmokers Only is the next song on the album and is one of the group's many songs dedicated to weed. This song was originally intended to be on Creepin' on a Come Up too. This was confirmed by Bobby Jones, who did production on the group's first album, Faces of Death, along with some of their later work. After Budsmokers Only comes Crossroads, which is the original version of the group's smash hit song, The Crossroads. The original version of E1999 Eternal contains the early version of the song, while later copies replaced it with the famous version. Let me know in the comments if you still have the original copy of the album with the original Crossroads song. I'm someone who prefers the remake, but the original version of the song was dedicated to Wally, a friend of the group who passed away. After the death of Eazy E, the group decided to remake the song. By that time, other people close to the group passed away as well. Wishbone's Uncle Charles and Lil Boo, an original member of the rap group The Graveyard Shift, had also passed on. The remake was released in 1996, a year after the album. The remake topped the Billboard Hot 100 for 8 weeks. As of 1996, this song is double platinum. Me Killa is next up, and it's a short a cappella track. Land of the Heartless follows this, and this is another track dedicated to the group's hometown. One of Cleveland's many nicknames is The Land. The group describes the city as being the land of the heartless. Sadly, I could not really find anything about the song, no shorts, no losses. but I could for the next track, which is First of the Month. This was the first single for the album and it did very good on the charts, peaking at number 14 on the Billboard Hot 100. The song is about the 1st and 15th of each month when welfare checks arrive. It's a celebratory period for those who receive it, as you can hear in the song. In an interview with Drink Champs, Krayzie Bone talked about how the song came about. He explained that it was Bizzy Bone's idea that sparked the inspiration for the song. In the same interview, he said that a lot of the material the group used for Creepin' on a Come Up and E1999 Eternal was concepted before the group ever met Eazy E. First of the Month is one example of this. Buddah Lovaz is another weed song from the album, and it's one of my favorite songs from Bone Thugs-n-Harmony. It samples the Keith Sweat song Right in a Wrong Way, along with sampling the Isley Brothers song Choosy Lover. Die 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 follows this, and there's not much history I could find with this track. There does happen to be some with the next track, Mr. Ouija 2. This is the sequel to Mr. Ouija, which appeared on the group's debut EP, Creepin' on a Come Up. A Ouija refers to a Ouija board, which by definition is a device used for obtaining messages from the spirit world. Many people believe Ouija boards to be dangerous due to it being a form of divination, which is seeking information from supernatural sources. People who are religious condemn this because it's against their beliefs to practice divination or sorcery and engage in witchcraft. Members of the group have talked about playing around with Ouija boards back in the day, but weren't privy to how serious it was and how dangerous it could be. The second Mr. Ouija skit perfectly fades into the classic Bone track, Mo Murda. The track has a lot of references to the Mr. Ouija skit, with the members of the group still talking to the board. The last track on the original album is Shots to the Double Clock. This is the only track on the album to have features from artists outside of Bone Thugs-n-Harmony. Though these people weren't in Bone Thugs, they were still affiliated. An example of this is Boogie, Tony Tone, and Mo Hart making up the rap group Poetic Hustlers, who were signed to Mo Thugs Records, the record label of Bone Thugs-n-Harmony. But the track Shots to the Double Clock is a very obvious diss towards the Dog Pound, who they had problems with. Bone Thugs-n-Harmony inherited Eazy E's beef with Death Row Records, which led to numerous altercations with the Dog Pound, who were signed to Death Row Records. One altercation that comes to mind is when Bone Thugs-n-Harmony performed at the Source Awards in 1995. While being interviewed on The Art of Dialogue, Krayzie Bone said that Suge Knight, one of the co-founders of Death Row, offered his goons $10,000 to attack them while they were on stage. But the conclusion of the song Shots to the Double Clock concludes the album. Just like that, we end the story of this classic album. Timeless is the best word I can use to describe it. I love everything about this album. The production, songwriting, eerie themes, the lore, the replay value, etc. I know I talked about the cover art earlier, but it's still crazy how in 2024, people are still breaking down the messages and mysteries behind it. This album came out almost 30 years ago. Absolutely insane. All in all, let me know in the comment section below what you guys think about the album and what classic album I should cover next. I love you guys with all my heart. Peace.